The last step in our church planting process is simply to form the church around those disciples. So let me review real quick all 5 steps. Number 1, pray to the Lord of harvest for laborers, and expect to begin to see things differently, because every follower is a missionary where they live, work, and play. Therefore, everybody who follows Christ can ultimately be a church planter. Secondly, we need to go where the soil is good. And the soil is good where people are broken, where people are humble, where people are open to receiving the gospel. And that's a kingdom principle that Jesus taught. Number 3, we are to plant the gospel. And we plant the gospel how? God plants it in our life. We plant our lives into neighborhoods by becoming a good neighbor and by proclaiming the truth of his gospel. And then fourthly, we begin to make disciples. And we make disciples through a life-on-life process. We can't do it in a classroom. It's not about information transmission, but it's about teaching people how to have an intimate relationship with Christ, how to follow him, how to see him, how to hear him, how to understand his ways, and how to be obedient to him. And that's best done life on life. Follow me as I follow Christ. And then the last one is simply we are to form the church around those disciples. We begin to make disciples. The Bible says, Jesus says that God makes it grow, that God gives the increase. Mark 4, that while we are asleep, while the farmer is asleep, he doesn't even know how, but it grows. And he describes a full maturation process, overwhelming. And so God begins to make it grow, and as he makes it grow, we become intentional about forming a new community, a gospel community, where we live out the kingdom in ordinary, everyday life. And there you have it. You have a church. And so that's the process that we follow, and that's the process that will allow us to plant gospel movements and reach people who typically we don't reach.